Numerous times in the back. HFD also arrived simultaneously. HFD transported the female to a local area hospital where that female was pronounced deceased. Again, this information is very preliminary, but the information we do have from some witness statements and others on scene is that the female and our suspect, who we believe to be the ex-boyfriend of the victim, had gotten into an argument which led to the shooting. There was an argument, an altercation. That altercation trickled inside the apartment where this suspect tried to force entry into the apartment. There was a brief stall in the argument, at which time our victim was in the back bedroom, came under fire from rifle rounds, was what we have on scene. As the shooting was occurring, the witnesses inside the apartment heard the suspect talking, and they've heard him talk before. In particular, the suspect, again, the ex-boyfriend of this victim, his name is Richard Hemphill, and that's Hemphill. He is not charged with anything in relation to this incident yet. We certainly have some questions for him and would like to talk to him. And we would like to talk to anyone who may know the whereabouts of Mr. Hemphill or saw what had occurred. They're encouraged to call the Houston Police Homicide Division 713-308-3600. Of course, if they wish to remain anonymous, we respect that, and they can call Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS.
Were there kids in the apartment?
There were kids. We're still trying to determine the relationship with these kids. We believe one of the children is the child of the victim and the suspect. That has not been vetted or verified. That's just based on some of the statements that we've gotten. We do not know the father of the other child. That's something that we're still trying to figure out.
How tragic.
Very tragic.
Who were the other people inside the apartment, the adults?
One was the current boyfriend of the victim, and I believe a family member of his. Again, that's something I have not verified. But one was a current boyfriend, brother, and then the sister of the victim. So there were 4 total inside the apartment when this occurred.
And have you been able to go inside the apartment yet?
I have not yet. CSU is just going inside, and they're starting to process the scene. There were a few administrative things that we were having to take care of first. That's something that's going to be our next move, and we're going to go inside and start processing the evidence and see exactly what we have.
You mentioned weapon before. Did you recover it, or you just recovered rounds?
I have been told that there is a weapon inside the apartment. It's not a rifle, and we do not know the relation, if that was involved in this incident or if it was just used as home defense. That's something we have not determined yet. There is not a rifle on scene. We believe, obviously, it's likely that the suspect took it with him. We do not have a vehicle for the suspect. Again, if someone out there has any vehicle information on Richard, that's something that information that we would like to have.
So it was 4 people plus the 2 children?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Do you know how old the children were?
I do not. If I had to guess, under 2 years old, give or take, but I do not have that information right now.
Do you know what the argument was about?
I don't. Some of the witnesses on scene that heard the argument did not hear the context of the argument. It's my understanding that the suspect and our victim had arguments often, but to the degree of what exactly they were arguing about, I do not know.
Did anyone here in the complex witness this as it was happening, or hear yelling or anything like that?
We did have witnesses that saw a argument a couple hours prior, leading up. So we think that this stemmed over the course of a couple hours and unfortunately culminated in the shooting and the death of this victim.
Do you have an age on Mr. Hemphill?
Yeah, so his date of birth is 7/21/95. Let's do the
Have you
math
guys
from
been
there.
called out here before because of the arguments?
I don't have that information. That's something we'll be able to find once we start kind of running call history here. we haven't had the chance to look at that. So we don't know if there's a pattern of family violence, but that's something we'll be looking at as our investigation unfolds.
And did you say both of the kids involved are under 2 years old?
I believe so. I have not verified that. Just to my sight, they looked young. 2, 3, 4 years old.
And what's the next step for the people that are in the back of the cop cars?
So again, we've gotten brief statements from them, but I have not been able to sit down and get the full story from start to finish. So like most of our cases, we rely on witness statement, credible witness statements, so that we will be taking them down to HPD headquarters where we will further interview them and get more details.
The other people that were in the home with the victim and the ex-boyfriend, did they not try to stop him? Was there, did they call 911?
Again, I haven't had the chance to talk to them fully, but I believe the initial argument and altercation, that they were able to put a stop to it, and that kind of had a lull in this argument. That is when, after a couple minutes, the suspect, who we believe came back, started firing into the apartment. At that point, that there's not much they could have done, and that's something that we'll get more further details as we talk to them more in depth.
And it sounds just real scary with the children there, just bullets. I mean, it could have been much worse.
It's sad nonetheless, but God forbid a child could have got hit and fatally injured, but it's a sad incident nonetheless.
And you guys are looking for this ex-boyfriend, but right now he's not facing any charges.
We are. He has not been charged yet. That's something as we get the witness statements, we will confer with our partners at the district attorney's office. Any charges that are sought, y'all will be made aware, and we will do that. We don't have much information into the regards of the location of the suspect. If anyone has that information, we certainly want to hear it.
What about surveillance at this apartment complex?
That's another thing that we'll be working with the apartment complex. That there are cameras that I've seen. Now, as to whether they are working or not, we are unsure. That is something I will be getting with management at the conclusion of this, and we'll be getting, hopefully the cameras will paint a picture of what happened.
Sorry, I missed the first 30 seconds. Can you just tell us about the first call? What was it? What
Yes,
you guys saw when you arrived?
it was a shooting in progress. Officers arrived on scene and they found a female victim shot multiple times. That victim was transported to a local area hospital by Houston Fire, and that victim was pronounced deceased at the hospital.
And what time was the initial?
Around 4 in the morning, 4:06, I believe, is when the initial call came in.
Okay. Your name again? Spell first name?
Detective Campbell, Houston Police Homicide.
Campbell, regular spelling.
Campbell, regular spelling, like Earl Campbell. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? All right. Thank you all.
So, what did she say she wanted us